我们上课时间到了。
The announcer just asked the attendees at the physical venue to come back. Please.
竭力爱翻山越岭，翻山越岭，何处需要关怀？我们漂洋过海，不让爱枯竭。追随上人的慈悲。
请客服还有那个队服加快速度。
我将付出一切，发扬自己医疗事业的光辉。
那请大家尽快入座。那我们现在把时间交给司仪。
Please be seated.
亲爱的仁医菩萨，这边要麻烦您加快
Dear
您的脚
TIMA
步，
members, please come back to your seats more quickly. Our class is about to start very soon.
今天的讲师呢也非常的优秀哦。那我们在这
We have a very good speaker coming up. And before we begin class, Superintendent Jian said that we would be watching a video of what we've done around the world. So let's hear this young volunteer, Dr. He, talk about how he came into TIMA and his thoughts. Her, rather. This is Dr. He Xinqin. When I was in college, I was able to go on a free clinic in other countries, and I found that there are many suffering people in other countries that were lacking in medical supplies. And I heard that Tzu Chi was very experienced in doing large-scale free clinics, so I wanted to join TIMA to learn. More importantly, I learned the humanities in medicine, how in my daily life, in my daily work, to put into practice the ideas of respect and love. So finding my passion for medicine, seeing the model TIMA members around the world not being afraid of hard work, they contribute their time, their lives to take care of patients. That brought a lot of impact to me. Having joined TIMA, I was able to listen to Dharma's Master Cheng Yen's Dharma. I'm very grateful for this opportunity to get to know Tzu Chi. And the greatest capability we have in life is to extend love. Finally, I hope that we can get more people to join TIMA, hope that more medical staff can join the work of Tzu Chi so that more patients around the world can receive better care. I want to learn to embody the humanities in medicine, not just for myself, but I hope everyone can join together in this. So thank you, Dr. He. I hope that more medical staff can join her in relieving the suffering of all people. Next, we have invited a speaker who's a very senior Tzu Chi volunteer who has been with Tzu Chi since 1990. And in 1997, he was the CEO of our cultural mission and established the first Jingxi Cafe since 1998. For 8 years, he was the head of Da'ai Television without pay, creating a lot of great content, providing to Taiwan and the world. And he brought Tzu Chi's Da'ai Television up to a very high standard and very renowned in Taiwan. So now we want to welcome back Brother Yao Renlu, with what kind of attitude we should face this pandemic. So let's invite Brother Yao Renlu, Eric Yao. Everyone here, brothers and sisters, good morning. So today, my sharing I want to keep good time so that Superintendent Jen will not blame me for running late. So today's sharing, let's get the PowerPoint up. Primarily, I'd like to say my thanks to everyone that we are able to be gathered here at the Mid-Autumn Festival. You see that things are moving slowly, but don't worry, I'm going to end in 20 minutes. Master has taught us before about TIMA. Master said that TIMA is inspired by the Sutra of Innumerable Meanings. This is about relieving the suffering beings and sowing the seeds of goodness. And for that, I want to express my admiration for you. And today's sharing is titled Facing Something That Is Super Big, Super Small, and Super Fast in our future world, and looking toward 100 years of Tzu Chi. Often, when the problems we see, we can take care of right away, but let's try to look longer and further today. How long is 100 years? That's not very long. Now we Tzu Chi, we look to Tzu Chi's 100 years. That is only 46 years from now. So what's super big, super small, and super fast? Well, these are viral viral infections. We also want to map it to our great vow that this tiny virus occurs in our body, but it's not something we pay attention to. And even if we pay attention to it, we sometimes forget these small troubles that we have in our minds. And that's something that we are very cognizant of in the media industry. So how do we do a good job? So on the upper half of the slide talks about why. The bottom half of the slide talks about how. We think that our trouble is with COVID-19, and we think that once we have the vaccine, we'll be good. But that is wrong. That's the wrong attitude.
15年这个
Back in 2015, several years before the appearance of COVID-19, Bill Gates gave a TED Talk,
重要的话，他说
and he said something very important. He said,
the next
the next outbreak,
那个演讲不长，大概也就是18分钟，
that talk is not long, about 18 minutes,
因为
but
自己的这个
but he made a very good point because he had done a lot of research through his own nonprofit
说了
organizations, and he thinks humankind is not prepared for this.
没什么太多人理他。
So after he gave the talk, not a lot of people paid attention. So why don't us humans know that we are going to encounter something that we cannot handle? That's because the majority of people do not understand that everything has a cause.
我们并不理解，
We do not understand
成熟的时候
that once we have a cause and the conditions are ripe, it will result in something that we do not understand. We do not understand that the result also has impact, and not something we truly understand. So in Buddhism, we say that the conditions,
现代的科
the cause conditions will turn into results and impacts.
一定有后，
We put that into scientific words. That is the law of causality. Anything has its effect. COVID-19 is a result. So besides a vaccine, we need to think carefully about what caused this in the first place. And if we follow this, we trace it further and further upstream, we can go very far.
我们看这个病毒
So if we look at just this virus
杀死它
and we think only about killing it
问题，
and solve the problem that we see in front of us,
认真思考成因，
and we think carefully about its cause and think carefully about its impact,
不是我们
then
想象
it becomes clear that there is more to it than meets the eye. It's not just the impact on the economy, not just we have to spend money to revive the economy.
考虑到我们不想面对因，
So for
结好
looking at the
去
law of causality, if we only want to kill the result and get out of the impact, but not think about the impact, then coming back to Bill Gates' words, then we are not ready. I think that is a very good reminder for us. We are not prepared at all. It's not about the vaccine. It is about our ignorance, our lack of attention on the cause.
归纳起来，
So in summary,
主要的问题
the main problem for humanity is we're very smart, yet we're short-sighted. If we weren't smart, then we wouldn't have survived and become to dominate the earth out of the few competing species as Homo sapiens.
原因就是因为实在
So us Homo sapiens have survived because we're so smart, yet we are short-sighted. We only want to get rid of the result so we can not suffer the consequences. And we forget about creating the right causes and the right conditions in the first place. So what do?
我们只能够设法让聪
We
明
can only try to grow ourselves in wisdom so that smart humans can increase in wisdom. We see the trees, we also see the forest. We see the forest, we see the mountain. We see the mountain, we see the earth. We see the earth, we see the universe. And come to realize that the depth of our heart and come to understand why Master tells us all the time to be more mindful.
这整串
It is only through the heart, through our minds, that we are able to understand this whole chain of causality.
最左边的我们看到是
Normally, if we see a graphic like this, on the left we see the forest, we see shrubs, and sometimes we think that, oh, maybe these grow in the mountains, and sometimes we may think that, oh, the earth is our home. But very often, this is beyond what we carry with us in our heads. For example, how many people think that the forest fires in the US are right beside us?
会有人看到
Even if we don't think so, it is in fact burning our home planet.
它
And how many people think about the meaning of the starry background behind us? They're not just stars, they are planets, they're homes to other beings. If we look at compassion, what is compassion? It is a brain that is working in harmony. If we have a compassionate mind, that's not a point here, but point here instead. I think the doctors here know this graphic very well. This is published recently by Harvard and by Cambridge. I'd like to share with you this is the neuroscience of kindness, empathy, love, compassion, and the theory of mind. So these are theories that are forming. Why am I interested in this? Because as a designer, we have a lot of business studying the mind, and we think about when someone walks into the store, what kind of music do we play to influence the person? Now, if neuroscientists already have an understanding of the mind, then why not use that science, that knowledge to influence people toward good? So let's look at Tzu Chi's history. 13.8 billion years ago, there was the Big Bang that created the universe. And 4.6 billion years ago, the Earth was formed. It was quite a while after the Big Bang. In the beginning, it was a hot molten ball, and after many years, the Earth cooled. And in Buddha Sutras, they call the Earth a blue planet of Jambudvipa. 200,000 to 300,000 years ago, humans started appearing, and we started to develop language about 50,000 years ago. But we are tainted by our ignorance and our greed, our aversion. And that is the greatest cause of trouble on our planet. In the Buddha Sutra, the Buddha says that in turbid times, living beings are defiled. They have envy, they have other vices. So what do? Let's take a look. Tzu Chi works for spreading Buddhism and works for relieving suffering beings. The first seed of Tzu Chi. This is the story of the first seed. The seed was very young. It was born in 1937 in Taichung. And in 1963, when she was 26 years old, she left home to become a monastic. Her master told her to work for Buddhism and for all living beings. And on the right, if you can see, at that time, the GDP of Taiwan was less than 1% that of the GDP of a US person. So at that time, there was no economic foundation for Taiwan to take on a charity work. But the seed, when she was 29, she established the Buddhist Compassion Relief Tzu Chi Foundation, the Tzu Chi Merit Society. And the headquarters is the shed that you see. In 1968, when she was 31 years old, I think she established a laboratory, the first laboratory to work for Buddhism and for all beings. This is a very important lab. It puts into practice a theory from 2,500 years ago and see if it can work today. At the same time, I also want to remind all of us that being respectful to our land and being respectful to nature is building style that we have in Ciji. Because Master, this is the abode when it was being built in 1968. Master has not demolished this building. It is with us because it is a sign of humility. When she was 35 years old, we see Master in the middle of the photo. She was leading a group of young people. These were all youths that were doing this free clinic for the community. Master and her young followers said, let's take on the work of a free clinic. At that time, the average production per person was $528 per year, which is 1/49th of what a US person produced. So wanting to build a hospital, wanting to do charity work with this economic status took a lot of vision. We want to remind ourselves that Master Chen Yan was not born like this. She began when she was 26 years old. That is something that we must keep in mind. And when she was 42 in 1979, she announced that she was going to build the hospital. At that time, the GDP in Taiwan was $1,957 per person. Time passed by very fast. And Master is 82 years old in 2019. Tzu Chi is now all over the world as you are connecting to the conference today from all of these different pins on the map. Master wants us to remember our Dharma lineage, where we come from. I hope to summarize. Master left home when she was 26 to take on the burden of working for Buddhism and for living beings. And when she was 29, in very bad economic situation in Taiwan, she started Tzu Chi. As many years have passed, Tzu Chi allows us to believe that human goodness can be cultivated. This is a very important process. So how do we grow this goodness? Different people should be developed different ways. Different things move different people. As the Buddhist sutras tell us, there are many ways, different ways for different people. But the challenge we have today is how do we make our steps even bigger? We cannot stop at where Master leaves us and we are just content with it. Because if we're just content with it, then we are going to go backwards. So let's think about 100 years for Tzu Chi. Year 2066. 46 years from now, there will be 10.35 billion people on Earth. There's another prediction saying that if we have major disasters during this time, then we are going to have a decrease in human population. So whether we go up or we go down, either way is a disaster for our planet. So Tzu Chi volunteers and TIMA people, do we have the ability to help those in need and suffering to be delivered into happiness and joy? I have 3 minutes left, so let's think back to something Master has said. Many years ago, there was once in the abode, and Master was in her den, or I think maybe it may have been her meeting room, and I was the CEO at that time. I asked Master, saying, so much is happening. What do I do? Master did not answer directly, but she told me a story. I'd like to share that story with you. Master said, when she was young, she wanted to make a living for herself. She cultivated the fields herself. And so they did this work early in the morning, like 4 a.m. They weeded they did the weeding at that time because that's when they could get water. And the winter, when she was standing in the fields, she thought to herself, this is such a big field and so cold. How am I able to do this? She said she used some way that maybe we can use as well. Her heart she was saying that I want to do this whole field, but my hands are only so long. So that's concentrate on the area I can reach. And after I do that, I'll take one step forward, and then I do the area I can reach. And before long, I had finished weeding the whole field. So I think this is a story that's worth our consideration and remembrance. So I come to the conclusion that if Tzu Chi had 100 million volunteers, true volunteers, people who have made the vow to help one person a day, to deliver them from suffering and lead them to joy and happiness. Perhaps they are sick that day, perhaps they need some other sort of help. Then through the work of 1 million volunteers helping themselves and helping others, as we know that is the same thing, helping ourselves and helping others, then 10.3 billion people's well-being will have been elevated. And this is what Peter Drucker said about nonprofit organizations. The people of nonprofit organizations elevate the well-being, the spiritual well-being of other people. Every volunteer helping one person a day can help 10.3 billion people by year 2066. So I made a rough calculation. If we help just one person a day, and over 30 years, we come to a number of 10,000 people per person over a course of 30 years. So if we can do this ourselves, then we will accumulate this number as the Sutra of Infinite Meanings have told us. So my time is up. So thank you, Brother Yao, for your sharing.